Oh, g'day team, happy Sunday. So I was driving and I had an epiphany, so I had to pull over. A bit of an epiphany-ette. Anyway, I was talking to somebody yesterday about peaks and troughs. And we're talking about the inevitability of the messiness of life and the light and shade, the black and white, the good and the bad, the fair and the unfair, the peaks and troughs. And they said to me, I hate the troughs. And I said, I get it. Don't blame you, but hating the troughs doesn't remove the troughs and it doesn't help you manage the troughs. And so rather than wasting all that emotional energy on the hate in that, and we had a bit of a dialogue about that and it was okay. And I came away feeling like I need to be able to unpack this idea of peaks and troughs. And I actually believe, and I've always believed, well, one, peaks and troughs are inevitable, but two, I actually think troughs serve a really good purpose where they don't seem to in the moment. They don't feel like it in the moment. And I was driving along just pondering, and I had this image came into my head of me sitting beside the crab and my training partner, who was in hospital a little while ago with fucking 2,000 wires coming out of his body. And I remember just sitting there when he was in a coma and looking at the screen, which had a multitude of things on it. And one of the things it has on it, obviously, is his heart rhythm. Peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. And I was sitting there and I remember thinking, thank fuck for those peaks and troughs, because without those peaks and troughs, there's just a flat line. And if there's no peaks and troughs, there's no crab. And I was thinking, wow, what an image. It's like there's this thing that without peaks and troughs, in a cardiovascular and a physiological sense, there's no life. There's literally no life. And if we took away all the troughs, we'd only have these peaks, which would be this consistent line across our life or across a screen in this metaphor. And we all know what a flat line equals. And I was thinking that is so true that perhaps without the inevitability of peaks and troughs, we would not have the experience of life in a metaphoric sense. Perhaps without being able to experience the peaks in reflection of the troughs, or the light in reflection of the dark, or the good in the reflection of the awareness, or the awareness of the bad, or the joy without the awareness of the pain, perhaps those things couldn't exist. Perhaps if we had a constant life of peaks, we would be essentially metaphorically dead, because we wouldn't have the contrast that life is contrast. Life is black and white. Life is all the myriad of experiences and emotions. And so I was just thinking, without that continuous rhythm of up and down, of peak and of trough, peak and trough, that physiologically we're not here, but perhaps experientially in our life sense, it's necessary. It's understandable when we're in the trough that we don't love it, but perhaps we actually need it more than we know.